Royal courts generally had the best of everything. The best food, the nicest looking people, the smartest people brought in as royal advisors, the best musicians, jugglers, acrobats, even the tallest and shortest people, since if anyone was really unusual in any way, that person would probably end up being taken to the king, because everything and everyone that was truly extraordinary should naturally end up in the palace. This was especially true for some reason of little people. There appears to have been no part of the world, from Africa to South and Central America to Europe, India, China, and Japan, where royal courts didn't have dwarfs. It got to the point sometimes when parents tried to figure out ways to stunt their children's growth just so they could get to live in court. The army of King Rudolph II of Bohemia and Hungary had one regiment of dwarfs and another regiment of giants. And the Aztec king, Moctezuma II, kept a troop of dwarfs around him at all times, both to entertain him and to give him advice on affairs of state. This might seem an odd combination, but actually it's not at all unusual. You see, kings had a problem. Most people were scared of them, and usually for very good reasons. No one wanted to make a king angry, so they'd always agree with everything he said. Sometimes kings had fun with that. For instance, King Charles II of England once asked a group of scientists to tell him why a dead fish weighed more than a live fish. They came up with all sorts of elaborate theories until finally he told them it wasn't really true. Still, being surrounded by yes men could be a problem, because if a king developed a really stupid plan or got a really bad idea, no one would tell him. Wise monarchs realized they needed to have someone capable of criticizing them, pointing out the flaws in their projects, but they also didn't want that person to be someone that everyone else took seriously. The solution? Get a hunchback dwarf, or dance a silly dance, or stand on his head, and then tell you what a terrible idea you have. In fact, if you get a comedian to make fun of every idea you come up with, you can test them all for problems, and you never have to worry about anyone important being seen to publicly question you. Jesters didn't have to be small or unusually shaped. Sometimes it was enough for them to have severe mental health issues. It might seem odd for a king to seek the advice of crazy people, but often they were thought to see the world from a different perspective, to have high insights other people didn't have. But then the question is whether they're really crazy or just pretending. If they were too clever, they might get in trouble. King James VI of Scotland had a bad habit of not bothering to read all his documents, or all the documents his advisors handed him to sign. To show him how stupid this was, his court jester snuck a paper into the pile. The king agreed to let the jester be king for a week, and the king to become his jester. Sure enough, the king signed the document without reading it, and when he was told what happened, he was quite upset. Oh, and if you're wondering, he didn't actually change places with the jester, but he didn't punish him either. Scottish jesters were sometimes a little too clever, which caused Scottish Parliament to pass a law in 1449 called the Act for the Putting Away of Feigned Fools, which authorized sheriffs to arrest anyone advising the king who turned out to just be pretending to be crazy.